flight engineer Kate Rubins of NASA and 2 Russian cosmonauts, Sergei Ryzhkov and Sergei Kuznetsov, were each given a medical assessment after being pulled out of the craft. Their descent ended a 185-day mission spanning 2,960 orbits of Earth and over 125 million kilometers. Rubins is completing her second flight with 300 cumulative days in space. The Soyuz undocked from the space station at just after 4:30 in the morning Moscow time, before setting off after a last farewell wave from some of the 7 colleagues who remain in orbit. While on the station, the returning cosmonauts made a spacewalk, carried out research and experiments, as well as helping with some essential repairs to the station. All carried out under the joint direction of NASA and the Russian equivalent Roscosmos. The Vulcan Traffic Festival in Brussels celebrates its 15th anniversary this year thanks to the internet. Like last year, the pandemic's forced the organisers to stream their programme of music, cinema, debates and street art and exhibitions online. A new app is available for anyone who wants to follow the events. Out of 10 groups, there were 5 that were able to come to Brussels, so I hired multi-camera teams to join those musicians in their countries, whether in Moldova, Kosovo, Serbia or Bulgaria. So there'll be multi-camera teams to film them live for streaming. And the musicians I can bring to Brussels will perform in a super sound studio, which also has a multi-camera equipment team.
Come on.
Even the digital version of the festival is a huge logistic challenge. Everyone's worried. You have to respect all the different groups. You have the recording team, the technicians, the production team, the musicians. We created social distancing, hiring an expert to organise the workflow and prevent contact between the various groups. It's hyper-complex. It would have been easier for me to give up. Everybody would have said, Nicola, it's much better for you to abandon the festival for a second time. You'll see next year. Keep your money. But I said no, because there's somewhere in this a will to stay alive, to make something, to pay the artists and the teams. That's what motivated me this year. Many thanks for taking the time to talk to Euronews, and we wish you the best of luck with your virtual festival. Many thanks to you. Follow the digital version of the Vulcan's Traffic Festival via the website or mobile app from the 21st to the 25th of April. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Voices of Angola. Today we're focusing on 2 female entrepreneurs. They work in different sectors but have several things in common. They both work with their mothers and above all, they've been able to innovate, manage the COVID crisis and even develop some of their activities internationally. Let's take a look.
Southeast of Luanda, and you'll find the air is fragrant. It's home to the MMN Flower Farm, a family-owned business run by Dulce Oliveira.
The company, in fact, is a family business that was founded by my mother in 2008 with the simple purpose of producing flowers. I started to work on the project about 4 years ago.
Just make them itch uncontrollable, God, until they want to kill themselves, and then give them knives. Firmly affirm, power of an infinite number of infinities.
Pure imports have fueled domestic sales of
South Africa. We compete with flowers imported from the Netherlands and Kenya. But as there were no other alternative flowers, there were only local roses, we ended up selling almost all of our production after the general lockdown.
You told me to before, but if I cannot, I don't want to. Is that okay?
Well, the rosebush is beautiful. They smell good too. People like them very much because there are several varieties. White, red, yellow, soft and strong.
As the flower business blooms, M&M Farm has also diversified into fruit production. Lemons, limes and oranges already grow here. Now the farm is focusing on avocados too, expanding the business and driving up foreign exports.
The plateau region here in Angola has always been characterized as a region with high production potential for avocados because the soil and climatic conditions are favorable. We've been able to identify suitable varieties for export.
From the farm to the kitchen, Luanda-based Kamata, also a small family-owned business, specialises in snacks, sweets and condiments. First making its mark with a chili pepper paste, it's
I
now
forgot.
a trusted household name in Angola.
Canada, Puerto Rico and Canada.
My mother started making chindongo at home, which is a paste that almost every home in Angola has. She asked for help to promote it, to sell it. I went to a supermarket at the time, and the commercial director there literally told me, if you bring me this, this and this, I'll take your chindongo.
Anna's at the helm, and her hub is still involved. Kamata is the first of its kind to create, package and market traditional foods.
We'd have a sweet that's kikuputilla. A lot of people said, I remember this because my grandmother used to do it. My mother as well. So I think kamata is important because there's print when you go to the supermarket where, alongside seeing cookies and sweets from other countries, you can also see an Angolan brand, sticks that are familiar.
Running a food micro-enterprise during a pandemic is not easy. Sourcing ingredients at competitive prices can be challenging, and there's unpredictability with customers.
We already reduced lots of costs, and we adapted. Now we're waiting. Sometimes standing still is better.
We'll have other voices of Angola very soon on Euronews and of course on our special Angola webpage on Euronews.com. Thanks for being with us and I'll see you soon.
And even 300 days in space on her 2 missions, Kate Rubins is home.
Rob, Kate Rubins is outside of the capsule right now.
Let go.
And she's being brought over to her chair right now. And Kate Rubins now receiving flowers. A beautiful bouquet.
Thank you.
And here's our second crew member.
Okay.
To get readjusted to gravity after living and working in.
Okay, you ready?
Television continues to come in from the landing site.
Please give me the pictures you want me to have.
Make it for
From my phone.
heart rate.
Ryzhikov, having completed his second flight into space, 358 days on his 2 missions.
Because business is not only about acting fast,
I don't
but
remember.
doing the right thing at the right moment. Because no one can make the difference by thinking mainstream.
I may have hung you up.
Everywhere, we show you a different view on economy and trends. Because, above all,
When I
business is about vision.
got upset.
Euronews. Business like nowhere else.
I want everyone
thought I picked everything up.
My brand is empowerment through nature. My goal is to help them do what they think they can. And I am SheMoves.org. Make a different future. Start different at GoDaddy.com. This Mother's Day, millions of moms will be forced to make
That's right.
pretend like face. The face with the two white smile. And that thing with the eyebrows. A face that says, I love you, but I love this. So put an end to pretend like face with the Books Company. Long-lasting, farm-fresh flowers. Mom really loves the Books Company.
Alright. That's who you aspired to be. She's the evilest. She's your leader. She's your queen. She's your whore of Babylon. Whoring is good.
Prince Philip is laid to rest in a funeral which honoured his service to Queen and country.
Italy's former Interior Minister Matteo Salvini is to stand trial after he got dozens of migrants stranded at sea. Iran names one of its own nationals as being behind the attack on its
As a
nuclear
person of
enrichment
God,
facility
I know.
on Sunday.
And that's nobody's business, and I don't know the answer.
3 cosmonauts returned safely from the International Space Station after 185 days in
Talk about
orbit.
a God, it's not a moment. I think I'm gonna just be with Carl. Like in a house and a bedroom and stuff. I think we can love each other and not have
The Dean
orgies.
of Windsor, John Connor, officiated at the funeral, which was attended by
Thank
just
you.
30 people, including the
Thank
Queen,
you.
her 4
Thanks a
children,
lot.
and their 8 grandchildren. The Archbishop of Canterbury also officiated. These are coronavirus restrictions. It was far fewer than the 800
Thank you,
more
God.
the Duke of Edinburgh had planned for. The Dean spoke about the Duke of Edinburgh's kindness, service, humour,
Basically, I
and
didn't.
Philip, who was 99 years old, died
I just
on
didn't want to.
Monday. The British Prime Minister
I did.
Boris Johnson and
She
his
did.
country
She
home
did.
checkers joined with the nation to observe a minute's silence just before the funeral service took place.
Something. Oh.
Outside Buckingham Palace in
I
London,
think that was
thousands of
earlier.
people gathered in breach of
Earlier in
government
life.
guidelines. They laid flowers for the Duke along with messages of condolence to the Queen, to whom he'd loyally given support
Was
for
there an
more
idiot?
than 70 years. The funeral reflected Philip's
Yeah, you were offended about racial something.
Canon at Windsor marked the beginning of the
Yeah, did you rewrite something? Because I wouldn't have said he was offended by the racial part,
An Italian
knowing that
judge
he.
has ordered former Interior
Did you-
Minister Matteo Salvini to stand
I
trial
may not
for
have said
his
anything at
vessel
all.
rescue ship
I
docked
may
in
not.
Sicily in 2019. It left 147 migrants, some of them refugees, stranded for days. While staff such as children and the sick were let off earlier, most of them remained at sea for 19 days. During the standoff, some threw themselves overboard in desperation.
Please give them every addiction possible, especially nicotine and
83
meth.
migrants were allowed
Crystal
to
meth.
disembark on the island of Lampedusa.
And
Salvini
get them really happy with
insisted
it and then
his job by
pull it away
refusing
from them really
entry to the
hard
Spanish rescue
and
ship
fast.
run by the charity.
I like a lot of shock and awe. Ask that an infinite number of universes be created, where all the resources go to developing shock and awe tactics to upset Satanists. Affirm, reaffirm, affirm, reaffirm, the power of an infinite number of infinities.
His trial is scheduled for September. A group of Germans who are impatient with the speed of their
Like taking away things from them that they are taking for granted they'll be having in the future.
Their first shot of the Sputnik V vaccine in Moscow as part of a tour organised by the German Office of European Tour Operators. During the 3-night trip, tourists got the Jacko private clinic at their
Oh, it's
hotel.
just a Sideways thinks
to get the vaccination
that's
and to
Christian
combine
shit.
the trip with a holiday or with a cultural program, and so it worked.
Although the EU hasn't approved the vaccine, one tourist said he trusted a study published in an influential British medical journal.
I thought that getting a regular vaccine was approximately 5 to 10 months in the future, so that was too long for me, so I looked up other opportunities. One was Serbia which
Do you want me to? Is it important?
Russia was the second option, and it worked now.
Meanwhile, some Russian regions say they're short of vaccine supplies. Israel has named this man, Iranian national Reza Karimi, as being behind the attack on its Natanz nuclear
Lisa Nicholson says she
facility
condemns
on
me
Sunday.
for being immoral enough to be
Israel
disrespectful to
masterminded
God.
the attack, inflaming
Firmly
a shadow
affirm,
war between the two
firmly
countries.
affirm,
Neither
firmly
Israel nor
affirm,
most of the Western
firmly
world
affirm,
want Iran to develop nuclear
firmly
weapons.
affirm.
But it says it wants to use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes. State television reported that
Why can't I use the one I chose?
before the attack took place. It also presented a document it said was an Interpol red notice seeking his arrest. On Interpol's website, there are 20
Smack him up the side of the head
nationals
for me.
with red notices issued against them, but none of
Screw
them
you,
are
boo.
Karimi.
Little sadist. You owe me 17,000 apologies. I'm letting Paul love you for a while. Except that hug was the best one I ever had. I think unless I've hugged Paul and I don't remember it.
Daily protests against the takeover continue, and reports suggest the government forces have killed more than 700 protesters and bystanders since February. Those freed on Saturday were mostly young people caught up in sweeps of street demonstrations, while those considered protest leaders were kept locked up.
Oh, there.
In the US, anger continues over these shootings. Hundreds of protesters have been gathering nightly outside the Brooklyn Center police station in Minneapolis since former officer Kim Potter, who's white, shot a 20-year-old black motorist during a traffic stop on Sunday. Demonstrators have thrown fireworks, attempted to tear down a security fence, and lobbed water bottles at officers. Long lines of riot police have driven away protesters with tear gas, rubber bullets, and flash grenades. The officers' tactics have angered civic representatives. And in Chicago, people have also been shocked and angered after police released video showing a 13-year-old boy being fatally shot. The film of the incident last month emerged on Thursday, provoking an outpouring of grief and outrage. It shows Officer Eric Stillman shooting Adam Toledo less than a second after the boy drops a handgun, turned towards Stillman and raised his hands. Prosecutors face a dilemma with strong emotions surrounding the case and legal precedent that makes it difficult to bring charges against law enforcement.
I could have a little bowl.
Three astronauts returned to Earth from the
More
International
chocolate and ice
Space
cream,
Station
I think.
Saturday. Members of the Expedition 6014 were brought down by the Soyuz MS-17 craft.
Gaba?
Parachuted down after
Can I
entering the
give her
Earth's
the gaba?
atmosphere in a remote part of southeast Kazakhstan in Central Asia. Flight engineer Kate Rubins of NASA and two Russian cosmonauts,
and call me in
Sergei
the
Ryzhkov
morning.
and Sergei Kutsvechkov, were each given a medical assessment after being pulled out of the craft. Their descent ended a 185-day mission spanning 2,960 orbits of Earth and over 125 million kilometers. Rubins is completing her second flight with 300 cumulative days in space. The Soyuz undocked from the
What are
space
you
station
doing?
just after 4:30 in the morning Moscow time before setting off after a last farewell wave from some of the 7 colleagues who will remain in orbit. While on the station, the returning cosmonauts made a spacewalk, carried out research and experiments, as well as helping with some essential repairs to the
Should take
station.
him away.
All carried out under the joint direction of NASA and the Russian equivalent Roscosmos.
Oh, there. You're stealing things from me.
The Balkan Traffic Festival in Brussels celebrates its 15th anniversary this year thanks to the internet. Like last year, the pandemic forced the organisers to stream their programme of music, cinema, debates and street art and exhibitions online. A new app is available for anyone who wants to follow the events.
got you in her.
There were 5 that were able to come
Seems
to
like a
Brussels.
separate
So I
person.
hired multi-camera teams to join those musicians in their countries.
But I'd like it to
whether
be
in
you.
Moldova, Kosovo, Serbia or Bulgaria. So there'll be multi-camera teams to film them live for streaming. And the musicians I can bring to Brussels will perform in a super sound studio, which also has a multi-camera equipment team.
No, I don't
Even
know.
the digital version of the
She's
festival
allowed to
is
be
a huge
accurate.
logistic challenge. Everyone's worried. You have to respect all the different groups. You have the recording team, the technicians, the production team, the musicians. We created social distancing, hiring an expert to organise the workflow and prevent contact between the various groups. It's hyper complex. It would have been easier for me to give up. Everybody would have said, Nicola, it's
Should I
much
load up?
better for you to abandon the festival
What
for
a
a second
gummy.
time. We'll see next year. Keep your money. But I said no, because there's somewhere in this a will to stay alive, to make something, to pay the artists and the teams. That's
Where
what
my
motivates
gummy
me
is.
to
Is this
do
my
it.
gummy? Here.
Many thanks for taking the time to talk to Euronews. We wish you the best of luck with your virtual festival.
Thanks very much.
Many thanks to you. Follow the digital version of the Balkans Traffic Festival on our website or mobile app from the 21st to the 25th of April.
My gummies. My B12. Where did I order my B12? Mm-hmm.
So I turned my own design into a business. One that helps bring jobs back to my community.
Unbelievable.
People shine, sparkle, and my business is Botox. My brand
Aren't those ace bandages 2-inch? You're getting my hopes up for things.
Make a different future. Start different at GoDaddy.com.
Oh, the what you call it? It tastes so good. Take 2 of them. No idea. No idea. They look like herbs. There we go. I don't remember. I'll give up.
This week on Euronews.
A little 20-seat restaurant in Dubai is causing a big stir on the culinary scene. Giselle Studio serves Indian-tasted menus with up to 15
Someday I would, but then you gotta wash it.
sit-in. Executive chef Manchu Saini shows us how to recreate one of your
Dishwasher.
personal favorites.
Need a maid and a chef.
And a myriad spices.
Rotating chefs.
That's this week on Taste, on Euronews and Euronews.com.
That sounds like a waste. Save your special ones for one night a week. They do, because they only run restaurants, right? I guess they are, but it seems like a lot of money to invest. I don't want to. I don't want to be entertained. No. hot. Could maybe.
Watch Euronews live, anytime, anywhere, on Euronews.com and the Euronews app.
The global death toll from coronavirus hits 3 million, with countries like Brazil and India struggling to cope. Prince Philip is laid to rest in a funeral which honoured his service to Queen and country.
Italy's former Interior Minister Matteo Salvini is to stand trial after he left dozens of migrants stranded at sea. Iran names one of its own nationals as being behind the attack on its nuclear enrichment facility last Sunday.
The global death toll from the coronavirus topped 3 million people on Saturday amid a deepening crisis in places such as Brazil and India, combined with setbacks in the worldwide vaccination campaign. In Brazil's second largest city, Rio de Janeiro, a sprawling compound
Let's say we had some decent times.
built to take pressure off public burial grounds has now been filled with the bodies of COVID-19.
It's not really my style of music.
Women are being warned not to get pregnant.
Kinda.
At this moment of the pandemic, he says, when we see there is a difficult situation in maternity wards, if possible, we recommend
I guess they never did.
pregnancy until a more suitable moment.
They were planning one. I don't know if they've done it before. But I didn't think of that, I don't
It's a
think.
similar story in India. Just in New Delhi alone, the authorities reported almost 20,000 infections and 141 deaths in one day. In the city of Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh, like many other cities, shops are closed. And although people queue to be tested, it's India's death rate that's helped push the global toll from the coronavirus to a staggering 3 million people. And the true number
You did the only thing you
is
could do.
significantly higher because of possible government concealment and the many cases overlooked in the early stages of the outbreak. The funeral has taken place at Prince
Yeah, I
Philip,
guess.
a service
All of the
steeped
above.
in military and royal tradition. His coffin
It's
was
cunty
draped
of
in
her.
his own personal flag during the procession and at St George's Chapel in Windsor.
You're right
Castle.
next to me.
The Dean of Windsor, John Connor,
She is cunty.
officiated at the funeral, which was attended
Fuck
by
you, Shelley.
just
Go fuck
30
yourself.
people, including the Queen, her 4 children, and her 8 grandchildren.
You didn't seem,
Also officiated.
I don't
Due to
know.
coronavirus restrictions, it was far fewer than the 800 mourners the Duke of Edinburgh had planned for. The Dean spoke about the Duke of Edinburgh's kindness, service, humour.
I think I do have some kind of gift for it.
Prince Philip, who was 99 years old, died on the 9th of April.
I think I want one under par.
Boris Johnson and his country
And one hole.
chairs joined with the nation to observe
I got the best shot in that hole.
before the funeral service took place.
Richard and another couple.
Outside Buckingham Palace in London, thousands of people gathered in breach of government guidelines.
I didn't do the whole 18. That's too much for me.
Along with messages of condolence to the Queen, to whom we've loyally given
I
support.
guess.
and
Or maybe they finished. Or...
The funeral reflected Philip's military ties, and the firing of a cannon at Windsor marked the beginning.
I don't know
and
if
end
that
of
was
the
golf day or
Renaissance.
another day. I know, my clothes look like shit.
An Italian judge has ordered former Interior Minister
What do you
Matteo
want? I don't know.
Salvini to stand trial for refusing to let
Maybe
a
not.
migrant rescue ship dock in Sicily in 2019. It left 147 migrants, some of them refugees, stranded at sea for days.
Well, I was. I got
And while
crappy
some,
clothes.
such as children and the sick, were let off earlier, most of them remained at sea.
I wasn't going to do anything about my body, but
During
I
the
could have worn better
standoff, some
clothes.
threw themselves overboard in desperation as the captain pleaded for a port.
We didn't have any money.
Eventually, 83 migrants were allowed to disembark on the island of
All the time. They were a little afraid of the bottom.
Salvini insisted he was only doing his
Whenever
job
he wanted
by
ambulance, he'd
refusing
tell me,
entry
and
to
I'd
the
find
Spanish
them.
rescue ship run by the charity Open Arms. At
Just
the
some
time,
online
Salvini
shopping
cited
and-
the Italian constitution, tweeting that defending the
I thought
country
khaki was
a
that
duty
camouflage
of every
green.
Italian.
And then he said no, it was
Prosecutors
beige.
accused him of both dereliction of duty and kidnapping. His trial is scheduled for September.
That was Catholic.
A group of Germans who are impatient with the speed of their country's vaccine rollout have flown to Russia to get a jab. Around 50 of them were getting their first shot of the Sputnik V vaccine in Moscow as part of a tour organised by the German Office
You don't
of
actually
European
think I
Tour
was stuck on
Operators.
you.
During the
I was
three-night
stuck on
trip,
Gina,
tourists
do you?
get the jab at a private clinic at their hotel.
How many stucks did you have in your life? You were stuck on Donnie.
And to combine the trip with a holiday or with a cultural program, and so it worked.
Although the EU hasn't approved the vaccine, one tourist said
She
he
stole
trusted a
from me,
study
she said.
published in an
Yeah.
influential British medical journal.
There was no way to afford a ring like
Getting a
that.
regular vaccine was approximately 5 to 10 months in the future, so that was too long for me. So
I don't know.
I looked up other opportunities. One was Serbia.
Did I put him there?
Passes now, and Russia was the second option. And
That was good.
works like now.
Meanwhile, some Russian regions say they're short of vaccine supplies. Israel has named this man, Iranian national Reza Karimi, as being behind the attack on its Natanz nuclear enrichment facility last Sunday. It also accused Israel of masterminding the attack, inflaming a shadow war between the two countries. Neither Israel nor
My
most of the
theory is
Western
give me a
world
good
want
present
Iran
and
to
let the
develop
past
nuclear weapons.
work
But it
out
says
over
it wants to
time.
use nuclear energy for peaceful purposes.
I'm not aware of it. Part of that is being aware that your present is pretty good and the past is being worked out over time. That's part of giving a person a good present. I'm so glad about all my theoretical life experiences. I am not amused.
Myanmar's junta has announced it's pardoned and released more than 23,000 prisoners to mark the traditional Tetian New Year holiday. It's not clear if they included pro-democracy activists who were detained when the military seized power in February.
Asia, I guess.
Daily protests against the takeover continue, and reports suggest the government
If I studied it, I'd find a world map over time.
bystanders since February. Those freed on
We're nice to have a big world map, a globe.
sweeps of street demonstrations.
It could be a regular globe.
Protest leaders were
And a map for the wall.
Italy is suffering a historic recession, the worst since the Second World War,
So,
plunging many people into poverty.
who doesn't know what to do where?
With the pandemic contributing to inequality, unemployment, and debt. But a Vatican property near St. Peter's Square has been turned into a hotel for homeless people. It's now a place where some homeless and poor people in Rome can sleep and eat with the help of a charitable operation run by the Sant'Egidio community. The prestigious property bears the name Palazzo Migliore, or the Palace at the Best. Around 15 men and women can sleep in the dormitories, and the charity also provides breakfast.
It's probably a first, like, wait a minute. Right.
The upper floors provide
You
accommodation,
just find a paradigm that wasn't at all accurate.
space for reading and counselling. It's an important resource, but as the number of
Right.
people
Rumsfeld is related to Edith Barron. We know that. They look quite a bit alike.
7 million people, much
No,
more needs to
cousin?
be done to make a significant difference to poverty in Italy.
Older cousin. But she
The
may be
Golden
older.
Traffic Festival in Brussels celebrates its 15th anniversary this year thanks to the internet. Like last year, the pandemic's forced the organisers to stream their programme of music, cinema, debates and street art and exhibitions online. A new app is available for anyone who wants to follow the events. Out of 10 groups, there were 5 that were able to come to Brussels, so I hired multi-camera
I would
teams
have
to
to
join
look
those
again.
musicians in their countries, whether in Moldova, Kosovo,
Carter.
Serbia or Bulgaria.
I forget how we
there'll be
fucked him that
multi-camera
day.
teams to film them live for streaming. And the musicians I can bring to Brussels will perform in a super
Okay.
sound studio, which also has a multi-camera equipment team. Even the digital version of the festival is a huge logistic challenge. Everyone's worried. You have to respect all the different groups. You have the recording team, the technicians, the production team, the musicians. We created social distancing, hiring an expert to organise the workflow and prevent contact between the various groups. It's hyper complex. It would have been easier for me to give up. Everybody would have said, Nicola, it's much better for you to abandon the festival for a second time. You'll see next year. Keep your money. But I said no, because there's somewhere in this a will to stay alive, to make something, to pay the artists and the teams. That's what motivated me this year. Many thanks for taking the time to talk to Euronews, and we wish you the best of luck with your virtual festival. Many thanks to you. Follow the digital version of the Balkans Traffic Festival via the website or mobile app from the 21st to the 25th of April.
Coming up on Euronews.
Bucharest is the
They went through the walls, I think they said.
many experts believe. So how should its old buildings be protected? Answers from the Romanian capital coming up in Unreported Europe on Euronews.
I think they went through the walls. You guys go through solid objects. No, I was protected by glass, I guess. No. I don't think so, no. Protected by glass. Not really. Be forever.
Residents of this building in Romania's capital Bucharest are taking delivery of a very special box from local authorities.
I hope they're in the dresser. Just say in the dresser.
Survival kit.
Uh-huh.
Here I think there's some water. And then more water.
Somewhere.
Here you have a
In
whistle.
here, she said.
These are bandages.
And a mask. They can use COVID as well.
Yes. And this is a radio.
Built in
Oh.
1934, their home is one of the
That's
most
it.
dangerous in the city. Like it does on a fault line, Bucharest is considered by seismologists the capital most at risk from
My weight down?
earthquakes. Come one of magnitude 6 or higher, and experts say the building would almost certainly collapse. Firefighters and Assad have been trying to get its structure reinforced for 21 years. Works have been started but left unfinished. The bad experiences will
I'm falling off.
Once there was an earthquake a bit bigger than the others. It was during the night. Residents of the apartments on the 5th and 6th floors of this building and those from the buildings around, we all rushed downstairs in our nightgowns and gathered in the streets. And what really happened to us.
Hundreds of similar high-rise buildings are scattered around Romania's capital. They're adorned by red warning signs. Urban geographer Bogdan Suditu's Planning and Development Advisory NGO Make Better has developed an online city map of the most vulnerable sites. Some are abandoned, others inhabited, all are extremely dangerous.
This is the oldest building with a red point. It dates from the end of the 19th century. It's been through many different earthquakes in 1940, 1977, 1986, 1990, 1991, and 1994.
From that list, the one in 1977 still brings shivers in Bucharest. It had a magnitude of 7.2, around 1,600 people died. Some 33,000 buildings were destroyed or damaged. Since then, very little structural consolidation work has been done.
More than 8,000 people live in the 317 buildings that have been identified as high risk. So if there was an earthquake similar to that of March 4, 1977, the number of victims would be anything from 8,000 upwards.